So welcome to the Southeast staff meeting. This is probably the largest Southeast staff meeting we've had. It's a pleasure having all you guys join us. And so I will turn it over to Sierra to educate us. So it's all you, Sierra.
Thank you, Jim. Hello, everybody. My name is Sierra Larson. I am the new admin officer for DVR, and I will be showing you guys today how Iris ESS timesheet entry works. So I've got a little presentation for you guys. Let me see if I can. All right. Sure. And can everybody see that okay?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
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 Alrighty. So, Iris ESS. First of all, before we get started, I'll let you guys know a little bit about me. I have been working for the state for about 4 years now. All of my time before DVR was with payroll services. I started with payroll back in 2020, back when they were still with the Division of Personnel and Labor Relations. And I was with payroll when they transitioned over to the Division of Finance. So all the time that I've worked with payroll, we have been doing, they had been doing Iris ESS timesheet entries. So I have a pretty good idea of how this works. So if you guys ever have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out and I should be able to answer them for you. So is there anybody here that has entered their timesheet through ESS before? Peek at the chat really quick. Yes, all right, perfect. Cool. So it's not too different than what we have been doing with physical timesheets. It's the same kind of flow. It's just all electronic. So what is the exact flow of an ESS timesheet? So first, we have the timesheet is going to be submitted by the employee in ESS. So they enter all their hours in there and they are like, okay, I've attached any leave slips I need to attach. So I'm going to validate and submit. So their timesheet gets submitted. And then the timesheet will go into the supervisor work list, where your manager will go in and review your time and make sure everything looks good and correct, and they will approve the timesheet. Or if they happen to find a mistake, then they will go ahead and reject it, and that will be returned to draft status for the employee to make any corrections necessary. So if the manager approves the timesheet, it'll then go into the DVR timekeeper work list. And that is where I go in and work all my magic to approve the timesheets. And then once I go ahead and approve it, or I can reject it if I happen to find any errors, then it'll be rejected back to the employee to make any corrections. And I will most definitely let you guys know if that ends up happening. But if not, I approve it, and then that goes to administration payroll for final approval, where that's where all the real magic happens and they issue your paycheck for you. So overtime and leave, the overtime is more geared towards DDS, since I do know that you guys out in the field don't really work overtime. So for you guys, if you take any leave, then it is required to have a physical timesheet as well as a leave slip attached to your ESS timesheet. Just so I can make sure, not only me, but also payroll can make sure that all the bells and whistles are there and everything is following the contract bargaining agreement correctly and that you get paid correctly. And before sending over to CO for approval, everything must have a supervisor signature on it. It makes everything a lot easier for me. That way, when I'm working on the timesheets, I don't have to really run around and try to get people to sign timesheets and all that. Just makes it a lot easier. Any questions so far? Are we doing good? Perfect. So one really cool thing about ESS is you can create your own timesheet ahead of time. So basically, say you are planning on going on extended leave, or you're going to be in a rural area where you might not have internet access, you can go in beforehand and create the timesheet ahead of time, up to 3 pay periods. I have a little screenshot down there and it's only showing 2 pay periods because I had already created my timesheet for pay period ending 6/23. But it's very helpful and I highly recommend to utilize that. Now, entering and editing and submitting your own timesheet, I figure that we could kind of go through this whole process together instead of just me reading this step by step kind of list. So let me just pull up my Iris and I will submit my timesheet for you guys. All right. So when I first log in, it's going to pop up with my manager role, but I'm going to want to switch that over to employee. And that is when it'll show all of my information, basically. And it has all these different kinds of links to resources, forms, employee call center. But we're going to go into time and leave. So in this screen, you can view all your different leave balances, your leave details. So this shows things like day by day, the leave that you have used, and also the leave that you have accrued per pay period. And this tab is going to show you your monthly accrued leave. Now, down to the timesheets down here, you can view your prior pay period timesheets, either in final status, which means that they have been finalized by payroll and a check has been issued. And if you want to go in and take a look at what has been processed, you can click on the Skittles and hit view. Now, if it's been submitted, then it will show up as pending. So this is the current pay period that is being processed, pay period ending 6/9. And so that has already been approved through central office and it is now awaiting approval by payroll. So it is showing as pending. Now this timesheet is showing in draft status, which means that I can go ahead and make any edits to it as I see fit. So this is the current pay period that is happening as we speak, 6/10 through 6/23. So I just went in here to create timesheet and you can select any of these pay periods. So it's got the pay period end date and start date. So if I say I have planned leave between the 8th and the 21st, I can go ahead and create that, enter my leave that I have approved, and I could even just submit it now. So that way, when the time does come, my manager can just go in and approve that. So now on to editing the timesheet. I'm gonna make sure.
So I can walk you through it if you need help.
The timesheet,
Yes.
Mike can, I am.
Sorry about
Kevin,
that. Okay, anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and do this draft one here. So I'm gonna hit the Skittles. And this one you have an option to view or edit. So viewing, you won't be able to edit it, but we'll just hit edit. And if you do hit view, then there will be an option in here to edit the time I. So this is the time entry portion of the timesheet. It's pretty straightforward. You know, we've got our 100 regular time, and it even kind of shows that if you hover over it. So I basically enter in any time worked that I have. Now, you could go in here and enter your time every day if you aren't very good at remembering like me. So say I worked an extra 8.5 hours on Monday. So that way I can go back and be like, okay, yeah, that's right. I worked that many hours. So now I don't have to go and remember everything. Now, say I took leave and I need to attach a leave slip. Let's say I took leave on the 11th. So I'm going to remove the 8 hours from there, and I'm going to enter the 8 hours in this 165 personal leave line. And I'm going to scroll on over here to this little paperclip. And in here, you can either browse or drop a PDF version of your timesheet or leave slip. So I'm going to go ahead and browse and go and find my leave slip. So here we go. I've got my PDF version of my leave slip. So I'm going to go ahead and open that and upload. And now it's got attachments 1 there. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out and go back. And now it's got that 1 attachment in there. So let's say we're going to change that because I didn't actually work 8.5 hours. So now that I've got all that entered, I've got 40 hours for each work week. I'm an SU employee. So that looks good to me. I'm going to go to the summary tab, and this will show me a summary of the hours. And if I want to add any comments, I can. I'll say leave taken on 6/11. And then I can go in, and you'll always want to hit validate on the timesheet before you hit submit. So I'm going to validate it. I'm just going to think about it, and it'll say it's validated successfully, and I can go ahead and submit it. Now, before I submit it, I want to bring up a very common error that might come up. So let's say I have unplanned leave that, like say I have a family emergency that I have to go take care of, and I unfortunately don't have enough leave on the books to cover it. So let's say, I know I don't have that much leave right now, so let's just do an example and say I took this whole week off and attached my leave slip and everything, and I'm going to hit validate. And we'll think about it, and this error is going to pop up. It's going to say this amount of excess usage of PER converted to substitute leave category on this date. So basically what that means is basically telling me the exact amount of personal leave that is going to default into leave without pay. Now, I know it's going to default into leave without pay because I know I don't have any other kinds of leave on my books. For example, I don't have any flex leave, or since I'm not overtime eligible, I don't have any comp leave available. But if I did, then it would automatically default into whatever I do have available. Now, I don't need to make any changes to my timesheet if I see this leave thing error pop up. It should still be able to submit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it's going to submit it for me. Now it says reject all, close. I don't think you can reject your own timesheet, but see, now it's showing as pending. And if I click on this pending, this is going to show me what work list the timesheet is at right now. So right now it's in the DVR supervisor work list. So when the time comes, David is going to go in and he's going to go and pull my timesheet out of this work list and make sure everything looks right. And he's going to approve it or reject it if it's wrong.
So Sierra, there was a question in the chat box.
Oh, okay, yeah.
With this example, you attached a leave slip. Do you still need to add a paper copy of timesheet?
Like, do you mean like sending central office a leave slip?
So I think she's meaning you had done the attachment of the leave slip, but do you still need to add an attachment of a paper copy of your timesheet?
Yes. I'm so sorry about that. I did not add my paper timesheet. I did not prepare that. But yes, if you do take leave, then yes, you will need a physical timesheet attachment as well. Thank you for making sure that's cleared up. Anything else? Any other questions before we move on? Cool. All right.
So, yeah, I do have a question.
Sure.
So when you're talking about attaching a hard copy, so like when we go in now, like we fill out that and then we attach that along with the leave slip. That's what you're saying?
Correct.
So there'll be 2 attachments, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Alrighty, so that is, oh, another question. With flexing time, do we also need to load our timesheet? Now, yes, I would suggest it. Typically, if, do we attach the lease slip after a VRM has signed the lease? Yes, please make sure that it is signed. If I opened up my lease slip here, you can tell it's not signed by David, but I've just made this a few seconds ago. So yes, please make sure that your timesheet and your leave slip are signed by your supervisor before you attach them in Iris and submit it. And if it isn't, then I will reject it. Now, anything else?
I had a question.
Sure.
With the hard copy, you said that there's that one and the leave slip. Is that just a scan of the hard copy for the attachment?
Yeah, as long as it's in PDF form, then that works.
Okay, so it has to be a PDF form.
Correct.
Okay.
And we've got Lorene, it's not necessary to report carry forward. Correct. So for alternate work week agreements, if you're on an alternate work week agreement, as long as you're not working anything outside of your current agreement, or, you know, like you're taking leave or working overtime, if you're just working your regular across the board alternate work week agreement, you do not need to report your carry forward hours or submit a physical timesheet. So now that I've submitted my timesheet, it's showing as pending. And now we will go ahead and move on. And if you guys, the links in SharePoint for timesheets do not work. I'll make sure to work on that. I'll make sure that SharePoint is all up to date with forms and resources. And I'll even see about putting this PowerPoint on SharePoint for you guys. How do you get the screen to notate hours worked if you work a half day? Well, half day. So basically, like, do you mean you worked half the day and took the rest of the day of leave? Because if that is the case, then you could, yes. Okay,
She said yes, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'll just create another timesheet so we can go ahead and show you that. Okay, so, and see, I created this next timesheet. This has got 4th of July, so it's automatically going to put that holiday in there for me. But if I decide to work a half day, I'm going to enter in whatever hours I worked. So let's say I just worked 4 hours. I'll just put 4. And now that's going to equal out to 36. And I just got to enter the extra 4 hours right there in that leave line. And if it's sick leave, then you just want to change that to 165 SK. And then got to make sure and attach, oops, sometimes that happens, attach that leave slip and validate it. And it might not say I have enough leave because I just submitted that other timesheet. Oh, I validated. And submit it. I'm not going to submit this one, so I'm just going to save it and close it. Perfect. So any more questions? When you reject a timesheet, does it go back to the supervisor as well, or does it go right back to the staff person who entered it incorrectly? That is a very good question. So if I end up rejecting the timesheet after the supervisor had already approved it, it's going to get rejected right back to the employee. So that way the employee will go in and make any corrections that are necessary. So if I end up doing that, then, you know, we can work that out. I can reach out to the manager and say, hey, I had to reject this employee's timesheet. If you could please have them make these corrections.
So I got 2 questions with that, Sierra. Well, 2 separate questions, but one is the same, similar to that. Do we get an email or something like that notifying us the rejection? How do we know we got to reject it?
I can notify you guys however would be the best way to notify you. I could message you through Teams. I could email you. I could give you a call. It's all just dependent on what you guys prefer.
And then, so why do we need to have a physical timesheet attached? Aren't we trying to get away from doing the paper separate timesheet? Feels like
So
we're doing double work.
I know, yes, it might feel like that, but the reasoning behind wanting to attach that is just so that the Department of Administration can determine that everything is being compensated correctly. Because there is a little disclaimer on everybody's timesheet on the bottom that states that the Department of Administration has final determination of compensation. So with leave, they just want to make sure that, you know, say you're sick and an employee has donated leave to you. So that way, when payroll, because we don't enter the donated leave, that is entered by payroll. So that way, payroll can say, okay, hey, this person has donated leave. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that donated leave into their timesheet and make any corrections necessary on the physical timesheet for their records. So that way, if they ever get audited, then they have that physical record of the timesheet. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool.
So there's some questions that come in, so I'll read them one by one
Sure.
for you.
Okay.
Can you move the holiday if it happens to fall on your RDO?
Yes, you certainly can. I will go in here again and show you. So I'm pretty sure, I'll have to double check the bargaining agreement, but I'm pretty sure both SU and GGU employees can move a holiday within the same work week if it falls on their RDL. So say Thursday is my regular day off. I could totally just move that to Monday if I wanted to, and remove these hours and put it there. Just like that. So that way I'm like, okay, and I'll know that you're on an alternate work week. So I'll be like, okay, yeah, that's correct. And I'll go ahead and approve that. So yes, you can move your holiday.
And then if we have an RDO, do we type RDO in the box where time would go, question mark, or?
No, you do not have to do that. Typically with the timesheets and how your profile is set up in Iris, your RDOs will be shown right here. See how it says off day and that these are kind of grayed out. Now I can still enter time worked there if I did work on the weekend. It's just kind of a note like, this is how they're set up in the computer. That Sierra set up with Saturday and Sunday as her regular days off.
Then let's see, do supervisors need to sign the paper copy of the timesheet?
Yes, please.
And then for those of us who have flex scheduled, we have to change the holiday, not our RDO. Okay, that still applies. So if there is no leave, you do not have to attach a physical timesheet.
Correct. There's no leave and no overtime. You just got to enter your time worked and submit it. No attachments needed. I'm looking at mine and my RDO is not gray. So that could mean that basically when your profile is entered into Iris, they can set up different work cycles. And when they set up that work cycle, that is what is going to show the grayed out RDOs. So since payroll has been very behind on multiple different things, they haven't really had the time to change the work cycles to reflect an employee's current alternate work week. So yes, you can just put 0 hours on your RDOs. Cool. Anything else? Certain limit of submitting or prepping timesheets for future submissions, like preparing a month's worth of time in advance. Yes, I believe you can only go up to 3 pay periods ahead of time. So for example, since payroll is currently processing pay period ending 6/9, I have already created my timesheet for pay period ending 6/23 and 7/7. So when I go to hit create a timesheet, it's only going to give me one option for pay period ending 7/21. Okay, so if everybody's good to go, we can go ahead
Hey,
and
Sierra.
move on. Yeah,
Hey, this is David. Typically there's a line for leave that's already put in there, but if they don't take leave, have you shown them how to delete the line?
no, but I can do that right now.
Cool.
So if you don't take leave, and let's just pretend that this pay period doesn't have a holiday in it, so just ignore the 4th of July right there. If you don't take leave at all, we'll delete that. And if you make any changes to your time I before you delete a line, you'll want to make sure to save. Otherwise, it will not save any of your changes and it'll go back to what it was with the deleted line. So we're going to go ahead and just move all my hours up to the 100 line. And I'm going to hit save. And then since I'm going to delete both lines, we're going to select just the checkbox right there. And we're going to hit this trash can button. And yes, I do want to delete those. So now I just have the regular line of 100. So you can delete it, or if you happen to forget to delete it and it still submits, that's okay, because it'll automatically delete it. Or if you didn't mean to delete a line, then you can add this plus sign and it'll go ahead and enter a new one for you. So you could say, okay, I took sick leave actually on this day. And then I will validate it and submit it. Is there a list of leave codes just to make sure we have the right number code for the leave? I do believe there is a list of commonly used codes on the Division of Finance website. So I can make sure to add that to SharePoint for you guys. And if you ever have a question, you just kind of want like you just reach out to me and say, hey, I'm not seeing this on the commonly used leave codes, or I've got this special situation. Just reach out and I'd be happy to answer your question for you.
So Sierra, I know there are a number of individuals on this call that might be SU.
Mhm.
And historically, we have not done paper timesheets. So
Right.
we'll have to have a paper timesheet now if we're taking leave.
Correct. Yes. And if you guys need assistance with that, don't hesitate to reach out with me and I'd be happy to help you.
So it looks like with the little icon next to the leave code. Oh, there was one other question I missed. I think those are on the timesheet too. One of the tabs gives the LDP code.
Yes, correct. So let's go back in here. So if you guys need to charge your hours to any kind of LDP code, you would want to enter it into this override code right here. So like say I'm a DDS employee, I'm going to go ahead and just enter this and that should work. And if I bring it up with that typed in there, it'll bring up this LDP code. Or if I pull it up empty, it'll bring up all the LDP codes. I think these are all the LDP codes for Department 7. So it might take you a while to sort through all of them, but if you know your LDP code, you can usually search it in here with an asterisk, like 74 asterisk. And it'll bring up all of the LDP codes that have a 74 in them.
Let me jump in here, Sarah. If there's anyone that is unfamiliar with LDP codes, then you've never had to use one because they would typically be on your timesheet or entered previously. So I don't think anyone in Southeast has that. It's predominantly like Sarah mentioned DDS, and I think Jim Crutchman has one too, or quite a few of them.
Yes, yeah. He has multiple. Okay. What about the pre-ETS codes? That might be a good question for David also.
For what?
The pre-ETS codes.
Okay, who would need to utilize pre-ETS codes?
Lisa Larson is asking.
Okay. Is there a specific employee?
Well, historically, employees would, if they are doing some pre-ETS activities, they would put the code on their timesheet. So take that, bill it toward our, pre-F.
Yeah, if there's anyone with timesheets that have, that are going to be utilizing LDP codes, you would just use the override. Enter those in on the ESS.
All right, perfect. Any other questions before we move on?
The codes they were looking for, the pay number codes, they're on that same lookup on the bottom of the page of the timesheet that we all have to fill out. Where it says lookup.
Yes, I believe so. You can also look them up right in here. See, it'll have all sorts of different premium pays, leave pays, but typically we just stick with the regular pay, holiday pay, and the leave pays.
Hmm.
SharePoint, there's a step-by-step instructional that provides the most commonly used LDP codes on the final page. Perfect. Yes, fabulous.
Question.
Sure.
If someone does like a conference or something that it's not during the weekday or their normal work time and is maybe comped or anything, is there something different that needs to be done on the timesheets?
That is a good question. So do you mean like just kind of working outside your regular scheduled hours?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically you would want to just accumulate all your total hours worked on that day and have that entered on that day of the timesheet. And if there's any extra hours worked, then you would have to add a physical timesheet. So say if you didn't work over like 8 hours or even just 40 hours in the work week, then that's totally fine. You can just enter, like, oh, I worked an extra
numbers.
9 hours. I'm sorry, what was that?
It's like doing it, adjusting the hours for
Correct.
the 2 weeks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just make sure it all adds up to 80 or 75 if you're a GGU employee.
Gotcha.
Perfect. Anything else? So before we move on, there is on the Division of Finance website, I'll just go ahead and show you guys. There are job aids for ESS that outlines the whole timesheet entry process, or basically anything else that you would like to do or you can do in Iris ESS. And there is a video also for submitting a timesheet through Aspire. So I'll make sure that this link is available in SharePoint for you guys. Alrighty, could you post a link here on it? Yes, I sure can. There you go. Alrighty. So we can go ahead and move on to the next part. Okay, now we will be moving on to managers approving your staff's timesheets. Now this one I couldn't really do through a walkthrough for approving a timesheet because I have already approved my assistant's timesheet, and so it's just kind of not the right timing to be able to do that. But I've got all these screenshots for you guys, and we'll walk through it, and I will answer any of your questions that you might have. So as your manager, first you're going to want to go from your employee role to the manager role. And then in the manager role, it kind of looks just like ESS, where you have these different options. You can go to Aspire, there's a calendar, org chart, but you're going to want to click on time work list. And this is going to take you to the work list that your staff's timesheets are in. So this is going to pop up, this little drop down menu and this these areas to filter, and you can change these as you wish. There's different settings that you can go and change. And here, let me just see if I can show you that part. If you go into manager and time work list, so I can customize these filters as much as I want. If I hit this gear, you can select whatever you want to show. A lot of these aren't really very necessary. It's just going to help you filter out the timesheets that will show up in the work list. So I like to just have these couple of ones. You can look up the transaction ID by the last 4 digits, and it'll pop up in whatever work list it might be in. There's nothing in any work list right now because we don't have any timesheets in limbo at the moment. But so from that point, you will want to, from the drop-down arrow, you'll want to select this DVR supervisor work list, and you can filter it by your home unit. That'll make it a lot easier for you to find your employees' timesheets. So once you select that, it'll automatically bring up all the timesheets, and you'll want to select any of your employees' timesheets and click Take Task. And that's this little clipboard with a check on it. And if you don't take the task and you try to approve the timesheet just from the DVR supervisor work list, it will not let you approve it. So after you take the task, it will now go back into your work list. And then you can approve the timesheet. So you'll want to select your name from the drop-down menu, and the timesheets will automatically reappear. So from there, you can select the transaction ID that'll be blue and highlighted. You can open it up and review the employee's timesheet and approve or reject as you see fit. And then once that is all completed, you or your FAST member can notify central office that your timesheets have been approved and are ready for our approval. Anybody have any questions? That was kind of a fast little tutorial for managers, unfortunately. But there's also a manager self-service references and resources, and I will add that to the chat as well. This one also has multiple job aids.
So for the notifying central office, to do it just like before, we'll send it to the central office mailbox, you know,
Yeah.
the main, and just say timesheets for Southeast have been submitted.
Yeah, that works perfectly.
Okay.
And we will be keeping the same deadline. So Monday at 1, if you could get all the timesheets approved by then, that would be amazing. That way I have time to go in and approve them before they're due to payroll. And if you guys need any kind of accommodation or anything, or something's just not working out, just let me know. And you know, David and I are here to help you guys. So moving on, if we don't have any questions about that one. And as managers, if you guys ever have any questions about the contract bargaining agreements or anything like that, I'm definitely here to help for you guys. So I've just got some frequently asked questions that I have so far, and as time goes on, I'm more than happy to add to this list just so that we can just kind of have a reference to go off of. Does this work this way also for when the VRCs are acting managers? Yes, so that is part of one of my frequently asked questions. Thank you, Alex, that my manager's not here. So who's going to approve my timesheet? So each region has a designated backup to approve staff timesheets if a manager is not available to do so. And I apologize to the FAST members during our meeting yesterday where I had mentioned it should go to David or I or Mariah, but we do have backups for each region. And if your manager's not there, then we've got you guys all set up to go ahead and approve those for the managers. And let's see. So looks like the last question on my frequently asked question list that I have not gone over is my staff member is out sick or on extended leave and cannot submit their timesheet. What should I do? So in that case, if they just can't submit their timesheet, they're not available to, they don't have internet or anything, then you can just go ahead and just send a physical timesheet to central office and we will enter the timesheet. Any questions?
I guess you probably should mention that the ESS timesheet link is accessible wherever you have internet connection.
Yes, it is. So Iris ESS is available 23 hours a day, 7 days a week. So on the Division of Finance website, under applications, there is ESS, Employee Self-Service. And I highly recommend adding this to your bookmark on your tabs up here, just so you don't have to go and hunt it down in the finance website. Do we need to submit a hard copy timesheet anytime we flex time? No, as long as you work your regular like 40 hours a week, then you do not need to submit a timesheet. If you flex your time out, say you worked an extra 2 hours, so you leave early on Friday, that's perfectly fine. As long as the days reflect the amount of hours you worked on that day and it adds up to your contractual work week, good to go. Any more questions? I'm an open book for you guys.
And one pops to my mind that I see happen
Sure.
fairly often, not all the time, is folks that are on jury duty. Would they be required provide anything additional for that?
So for jury duty, if you are called in and you have to miss work to attend jury duty, then it would basically be the same kind of deal. You want to fill out your timesheet, a physical timesheet, and a leave slip. And when you go to jury duty, you should receive a basically kind of like an attendance slip from the clerk of the court and attach that as well with your timesheet and leave slip. And that way, when it's time for payroll to approve the timesheet, they can just verify like, okay, yes, this is jury duty. They're going to get court leave approved. Any more questions?
Sure, some will come along as people
Yeah,
process.
that's exactly what I was going to mention is as time goes on, there's so many different possibilities that could happen. And, we'll jump over those hurdles when we reach them. And I'm here for any questions if you guys need help. DVR is a great candidate for electronic timesheet entry. And I know change can be scary, but I really think once we get the hang of things, then this is going to be great for the division and make things a lot easier for everybody.
Just a reminder, folks, this is being recorded, and once I get the recording from Peter, I'll make sure to send it out to all the regions.
Cool. Well, before we end things here, this is a list of just a few different resources for you guys. I've got those two ESS and manager links for the job aids if you need them. The employee call center is also extremely helpful with anything regarding ESS. They're very helpful and they're very nice. So if you have any questions, feel free to give them a call or an email, and they're there to help you as well.
So if there's no other questions, I guess that will conclude our training. Unless there's anything else you want to bring up here.
No, that's it on my end. If you guys ever think of any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you guys for listening to my little spiel.
Thanks, Sierra. Appreciate it.
Alrighty.
Take care, all.